The Corsa Sport system that we have here today will appeal to the 2021 and newer 5-liter F-150 owners looking for a noticeable increase in sound over the factory exhaust, along with a very cool layout thanks to the pre-tire exit. Now the Corsa will pack premium stainless into the American-made system along with a striking black tip, offer right around the $1,000 price point. Now install, according to the site, guys, is going to get a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter here. Take you maybe a couple of hours or less to complete from start to finish, but if you hang with me for a bit, we'll show you how it's done later in the video. But getting right into the sound clips you guys heard at the top of the video, and I have the Corsa Sport coming in at a middle of the road 3 out of 5 on my 1 to 5 or 1 to wake the neighbor scale. Now the Sport is certainly going to increase the sound over your stock system, there's no denying that, but it's not nearly as loud as other category screamers, which I personally like. Now, the reason being for the somewhat reserved volume level is because the factory resonator is still going to be in place with the Sport system. Now, if you really wanted to crank that sound up even more, well, you could always check out Corsa's Extreme system, which was also available here on the site, that will delete your factory resonator, and as a result, will crank things up considerably. But sticking with sound a little bit longer, guys, and one thing I always like to make a point here with the Corsa systems is the total lack of drone present when installed. Now, even though you are getting a decent amount of engine noise out the back, the cabin remains dead quiet while cruising. Now, a big part of that can be attributed to Corsa's RSC technology, which stands for Reflective Sound Cancellation, and that is Corsa's patented tech that will keep things nice and quiet on the inside, even using their most aggressive systems like the Extreme we mentioned earlier. So with the sound out of the way, let's get into the construction here a little bit more, guys. And as I mentioned at the top of this video, nothing but the best from Corsa, as we've come to expect, right? This does include the premium 304 grade stainless steel construction throughout, perfect welds, 3-inch mandrel bent tubing, all exiting out the dual 4-inch black tips in a new location, by the way, for 2021, and that is the always cool pre-tire exit. Now, since Corsa is bringing that premium material to the party in the form of 304 grade stainless again, you can expect a rust-free experience for basically the life of your vehicle, along with a corresponding lifetime warranty. Now again, if you like the Sport but really weren't crazy about that pre-tire exit, you could always consider the many different configurations from Corsa here on the site for your 2021 and newer rig. But what do you say we segue into the installation, guys? And honestly, not that bad here once you get that factory system out of the way. But to give you a better idea of just how exactly things will go down, check out our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown now.
The tools used for this install are a pry bar, exhaust hanger removal pliers, a ratchet, some penetrant, a cordless impact gun, 13 and 15 millimeter sockets. So for this install, we are going to have to remove our factory exhaust system in order to make room for our new Corsa. There's only a few simple hand tools required to get this job done, and I'm going to walk you through every step of the process to show you how to get this installed. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is take a little bit of penetrating oil and I'm going to spray down my rubber exhaust hangers. I have one directly in front of the muffler, one directly behind the muffler, and a third one just above the axle, right near the tailpipe. I'll spray them down with a little bit of penetrant and it'll make things a lot easier coming off. Still working with the rust penetrant, I'm actually going to spray the hardware here at the 2-bolt flange at the front of the exhaust system, and then I'll take my 13 millimeter socket and remove those 2 bolts. I've got my 13 millimeter socket on my electric ratchet, but a hand ratchet will work just as good. For my rubber isolator right in front of my muffler, I'm going to use my exhaust hanger pliers to just break this loose, and then I'll move to the back hangers with my pry bar and I'll be able to get the entire exhaust system to come down in one big piece. The next thing I'll need to do is actually going to be for the full removal of the exhaust system. I've got my pry bar, and I'm going to put it in between the hanger that's on the back of the muffler and the cross member of the frame that's directly above it. I'll use the leverage of the pry bar to pull back onto this exhaust system. I'll get it to drop down in the front. I have an extra set of hands in the front to help me wrestle this up and over the axle and out from underneath the truck. Now that I've got the old exhaust system out of the way, I can start with the assembly of my new exhaust. I'm going to start with my inlet pipe that has the flared end as well as the inlet pipe flange. Now you'll see that there's a beveled edge on the inside of this flange, and that's going to go towards the curved and belled end of the pipe. I'll slide that over, and then I'm going to reuse my factory hardware and finger tighten it for now as I build my exhaust system from front to back. The next thing I can do is install my muffler can. I've got the slip joint end faced towards the front, and I've got my clamp pre-installed. I also have a pole jack nearby so that I can support the muffler while I build the rest of the exhaust system to the back, and that's just going to hold everything in place. And then I'll tighten up my clamp with a 15mm socket, just enough to hold it, but loose enough to make adjustments. Now I can take my 15mm socket on my impact gun and snug my clamp. Before I can install my next exhaust pipe piece, there's actually a hanger that needs to be installed to the frame rail. Now on the back right cab corner of the frame, there's going to be two pre-cut holes from the factory that are going to accept these J-clips that'll slide right into place. Then you'll bolt up the hangers using the provided bolts that come with the kit. As I mentioned, I'm here at the back right cab corner of the body mount and frame, and I'm just going to slide my J-clip into these pre-stamped holes from the factory and clip them into place so that I can add my hanger and hardware. And now I can tighten those bolts with a 13mm socket. Now that I've got that exhaust hanger bolted onto the frame rail, I can go ahead and install my tailpipe. I've got my clamp pre-installed, and then I'm just going to take this hanger here in the middle of the pipe and slide it into place on the rubber isolator right above me, and then I'll slide the slip joint onto the end of the muffler. Now I can take my 15mm socket on my impact gun and just snug that clamp down. Once again, just snugging my clamp, and then I'll go back and tighten everything at the end. Now I'm ready to install the provided rubber hanger in the kit here at the pre-installed hanger that I put on a little earlier. I lube this up just to make things a little bit easier. I'll slide it onto one hanger and then slide it onto the other. I'm finally ready to install the tip, which is the last piece for this exhaust system. I have my clamp pre-installed so that I can just align it the way I need it and snug it down. And I'll just slide this onto the tailpipe and tighten it up with my 15mm socket. Now I can go through and tighten up all my clamps and my exhaust flange. Now I can take my 15mm socket on my impact and tighten up my clamps, and I'll take my 13mm socket on my ratchet to tighten up my 2-bolt flange at the front. For my 2-bolt flange, I want to make sure that I tighten the bolts up evenly using my 13mm socket. And that's going to wrap up this review and install of the Corsa Sport exhaust with side exit fitting your 2021 and newer F-150. Thanks for watching, and for all things F-150, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.